Good morning, folks. I'm out here in the shop. I checked all the comments on the last video, and a few of you fellows said that you're reading 29 volts on the battery, so the battery's okay. I disagree with you on that, and I will prove that. It's more of a static charge. Yes, I do get my high range working, but you cannot zero it over here with this control. And I will show you and get you on a tripod here that when you put it on the high range and you short the leads together, the needle will drop down like that. So in other words, the battery is defective. I had no R times 1 and X1. Let me see something here. This reads 1.3 volts. Now you know that when a battery reads unloaded high impedance meter, as we all know, it's basically dead. Not actually dead, but it's not going to function. Now, this is a nice looking battery. It's a collector's. I don't know if it's how old it is, but it's not leaking. I have a Sunbeam non-alkaline, because that's all I have on hand. New one. When this was in there, X1 ohm scale did nothing. It didn't even move the needle. Okay? So, I'm going to put you on a tripod and show you. I replaced this battery with the Sunbeam D cell. Still got the original 30 volt battery in it, which is 29 volts and fraction thereof. Okay, now, when this battery was in here, R times 1 or X1, in this case they call it X1, scale did nothing. Alright, so that battery here wouldn't even move the needle when this was in there on R times 1. Okay. Yeah, let's see what we're on now. X times 10. Alright, on X times 10, X times 10 is fine. Okay? Let's see what the next one is. X times 1000. Alright, I think this is where we come into the 30 volt battery. But let's find out. This is X times 1000. Let's make sure I'm on an angle here. X 1000. Okay. Alright. So what I think that's running on, these three ranges here are running on the D cell. Okay. Now the high range is X 100,000, which is right here. Now, the battery, as others have said, it was good. Well, it's not good. It reads 29 volts, but it's not delivering the current necessary to run the ohm meter at the high range. I will show you right now. Alright, as you can see, it's not going all the way over. I got the dial all the way over. I can't get that needle to go over anymore. See it dropping? I can't even talk this morning. See it? Okay. Now 10 to 1, if I was to put a voltmeter across that battery with these leads shorted here, you'll see the voltage going down. Okay, so alright, so this meter right now is working okay on all ranges except R times 100,000. I can't help it. I call it R times. I just can't. Because all the other meters I'm using are always rated that way. But you know what I mean. So right now it's on X times 1,000. Okay? So I put it down to X 1,000, which is running on the D cell again. So naturally I got to bring this meter back over here. So essentially this is working. But the point of this video is, a couple of you fellas, at least one of you, said that the D cell is okay, 1.3. No, I put this in there, and I'm not going to do that to prove a point, because I've already showed that on the last video, the Ohmmeter did not work with this battery, okay? Because this is only putting out 1.3 volts, and that's really, it can't even deliver current, very much current even at that voltage, but it needs 1.5 volts to run it. So what's in there now is a Sunbeam D cell which reads 1.56 volts on my digital meter, and that's usually a fresh AA, AAA, or C or D cell will read around average of 1.6 volts brand new. So you need 1.5 volts, not 1.3 to get this to work. So this battery is, you can't use it in this meter, it's dead. So it's a nice looking battery, and I'll put it up on the shelf, and it's something nice to look at, I guess. Alright, so now let me make some resistance checks, which we didn't do that. Okay, here is a 1% 10 ohm resistor. Alright, you probably can't see that. Reading the top red scale, Ohmmeter scale here. It reads right there. That's 10. I can't get you a close-up. I don't have the, I'm not using the Play Touch. So you'll take my word for it. I'm sure my word is good. Alright, so that reads 10 ohms. That we're on the R times 1. I'm going to call it R times 1. This X1 here. It means the same thing anyways. I think you know what I mean. Alright, so let me go get another resistor here. It's hard for me to get up my resistors because they're the big Philips radio is in the way of my resistor doors. How the camera got moved, I don't know. 1,000 ohms, reading 1 on the top scale. R times 1,000 scale. Okay? So that's R times 1,000 is as high as I could read with this meter. In other words, I can't use the R 100,000 ohms because the battery, the 30 volt battery, is definitely too weak. So we're reading 1 over here for 1,000. If we drop down to here, I have to change the, I have to zero this each time. Okay, I have to zero this. Okay, each time I change the range, but I guess that's normal anyways. So if I put the 1,000 here, I'm reading 1K over here. Okay, so you need to be up in this R times 1,000 range in order to get to read 1, and this has got to be let's see. No, that's pretty much on. Alright, yeah. 1,000 over here. Or if it was on the R times 1, it would be 1 ohm. So the meter is very accurate so far. Let me stop this. 10,000. Alright. Let's see if I can find a loose one in here. Yeah. Here is a loose one. Right here. So 10,000 is going to read right there. And she's right on 10. So, okay. Now, on this range here, I could actually read 1 meg, but I would be way over here. Okay. So let me see if I can find a 1 meg. Well, I know I've got 1 megs. I just got to move the stuff out of the way so I can get at it. Hang on, I'm going to try to get a 1 meg here. Okay, here's the 1 megs. We've got one out already. Now this one you have to be careful. I have to be careful not to put my hands across it like that when you're testing a 1,000 or a 10,000 ohm resistor. Really won't influence the reading, but here you just put your hands across it. It could interfere with the reading, so I'll try not to do that if I can make good contact on one side. The needle just barely moves, okay? So you can't test a 1 meg on the R times 1000 scale. You're going to need the high end. And again, I can't get that needle right now. The battery recovered. The control here, the ohms adjust, 0 adjustments all the way over, all the way up in this case. And just barely can get that over there. It doesn't quite 0. Okay, so she's almost on the 10, which would be 1 meg. So you really need the 30 volt battery, but it's not worth putting it in. I'll tell you, it's too expensive from what I understand. And you're not going to read any higher ohms on this than, you know, you could read higher resistance on a digital multimeter than you can on this. A lot of my meters will read 20 meg. And even, I think, the Simpson 260, which I do have, it's not on the bench right now. The Simpson 260 will, if I'm not mistaken, will read 10 meg. I don't think it'll read 20. This might read 20 with a good battery, but it'll be way up in this cramped area here. So think about it. You really don't need the battery. Why they use a 30 volt battery in here when you're not reading any higher resistance. I'm on the R times 100,000 now range, which is the highest range for the ohm meter. Right now it almost hits 0. So this is a 10 meg ohm resistor, and it's reading, sorry, my elbows are clumsy. Yeah, she's reading a little under 10. But I can't get that to 0. So we'll call that good. Okay, so this was 1 meg that we just checked, and you can see this meter's not going to read much over 10 megs. And so that's probably the limit of this. Whereas you try to read any higher than that with a good 30 volt battery in here, you're going to be up in the cramped area anyways. So let me stop this and get a 10 meg resistor. Okay, this is a 10 meg. I got one right here. This is 10. This is on the highest. R times 100,000. Alright. So just barely reading, but you got to remember this needle. See, now the battery has really gotten low now. Look at that. Okay, I didn't have it connected. Never mind. My stupid mistake. I thought the battery died on me, but no. Alright. Well, you can see where it's moving. I can't even see that. It's right up in there. I can't. The numbers are all crunched together. There's like 200 in there. So, really, the top range of this meter, at the best, with the 30 volt battery in it, is 10 meg. Okay? You're not going to read any higher than that. There are meters out there that can read higher than that, of course, but that's alright. Like my B&K Precision 2831A, it can read up to 20 megohms. So actually, you're better off with this. So why should I waste money on a 30 volt battery just to get to squint to trying to read it on a cramped upper range when I can read 20 right here? And I don't know about my Fluke 73. I don't think so, but let's find out. Remember, this is a 10 megohm resistor. Alright, we're on the Fluke 73. Get the meter on. I'll make sure I don't put my fingers on the other part. Never can get the leads to hold, right? Alright. Alright, 10.28 megohms. So this will probably read at least to 20 megohms. Okay, so I'm sure I have a 20 meg somewhere, but it is probably in the mixed resistors, and that would take me all day to find, so we're not going to do that. But you can see there's no point in worrying about the 30 volt battery on this. So I'm happy with the meter. I could never figure out why. I always thought these things read way up there in resistance, and that's why they do, because of the 30 volt battery, but that's not the case. Let me shut my B&K off here. So you can see that there really isn't any need for reading resistances above 1 meg. If I want to read 10 meg, like I say, it's squished up way up into here at the highest range, I'll just use a digital meter. So that's the story there. Okay, so that's going to conclude the video. I just wanted to make this to show, after reading the comments, that some of you are saying the batteries are good, but that's not the case. This did not work at all with the 1.3 in here, but it's a neat battery. I'll hang on to it. I don't know, it'll probably be just like everything else, it'll get lost. You know, what the heck did I do with that? Oh, it's gone somewhere in the shop. You know, anything as small as this shop is, it just gets lost. And I can't find this, and I can't find that. You know how it goes. Let's see. I'm on a Z1, and I'm probably about 7 inches away. So hopefully it'll be in focus. This is a nice radio. I did take it out of the case, Hope this camera don't fall over on me. This mini tripod. I did take it out of the case. Alright. This is normal. This must be where you release the catch, because there's a wire soldered right here. Goes to the battery. So I supplied 9 volts of clip leads off of a 9-volt battery as one of them square jobs. And touching in here, it starts squealing and starts picking up. It does pick up one station, that's all it does. Not all that loud, so it needs caps. Judging from the type of transistors that are in it, they're definitely germanium, they're metal. I just recognize them from the 60s. I would say this is probably the early 60s. I retouched some of the soldering connections here, because when I touch it, it seemed to come and go. But that didn't seem to do anything, so it needs caps. It looks like there's only 2 electrolytics in here. I think these are 5/16. Let's see, no, 3/16. 3/16 volts here. And you see this little thing here? You may not be able to see that because I don't have a close-up camera. I don't even know if I'm in the viewfinder. Everything shows blurred to I'm wearing the glasses too, by the way. Alright. If you look over here, it looks like an LED light. Let's get this thing turned around here. Sorry the movement. I can't see the viewfinder. Can't tell where I'm at. When you turn this off, this little thing here that looks like a red LED, and it isn't. See this? Stays up in the air. And when you turn it on, it drops down. I don't know if you can see that. I apologize. I can't help it. You have to push it down. And with it down, looking at this side, well, it flopped out again. It doesn't stay in there. But you can see the thing. See it? You might be able to see it now. I'm off camera again. Oh, man. What I need is a bigger viewfinder on the camera here, but you know, see this thing I'm pushing around my thumb? It looks like an LED. It's just a little red piece of plastic. It goes into this hole here. When you turn it on, it shows red, but it won't stay in the hole unless you turn it upside down. Then it drops into the hole. See it? I think you can see that. Okay, so I don't know. And when you turn it off, see, it rises. See it? Okay, pretty neat. It's off, it's on, but it only works when the radio's upside down. You turn it this way and it just opens up. It comes out of that hole. It's made that way. But anyways, needless to say, even this one I can't fix, because I looked it over. I said, no, I'm not going to aggravate myself trying to recap it. Like I say, I saw 2 caps in there, 2 electrolytics. There could be a third, but I only saw 2. There is a fiber washer right here under this screw here. Okay? So I made a little notation on paper and a little quick drawing that the fiber washer goes under this screw. There's a metal washer under that. No washer. I'm sorry, I'm banging into the camera. I'm trying to work in an awkward position here. Oh, man. No washer here and no washer. The only reason I'm doing this in the event that I send this to somebody, not to fix. Not to fix. I like the radio. I like it. But it needs a special battery. and takes one of them round 9-volt transistor batteries. You could probably force one of these in there, but you'd have to cut this out. And you'd have to solder in one of them little transistor snap-on connectors with the wires on them, which I don't have. I don't have any of those. I used to years ago when I did play around with transistor radios, but there's no point in me buying those things. I can't work with it anyways. I can solder them in there all right, but so one of these jobs could work in there, but it sticks up above the circuit board. See that? You know, you can't see it, you know, off camera as always. You can't lay it down. So I don't think you can get this to fit in there. So I don't think you're going to be able to do that. I'm trying to get you a neutral background, but I'm sorry, I can't work in that position, so I'm going to have to do it this way. Like I say, I'm just not equipped to do videos like this. Alright, of the two radios, I like this the best. But of the two radios, this would be an SOB for me to work on. It's got a nice case. Handles good. Made in Japan. It's a global. Anyway, you can open it, you stick a screwdriver in there and pop it out. Okay, so you saw this before. Alright. By the way, the other radio works on one station, this one here, and squeals quite a bit. It needs caps. I don't think it needs transistors. At one point in the tuning dial, it's scratchy, so there could be that the plates are rubbing together. That I'm not sure of. Just thought I'd mention it. This type, it doesn't use this type of a tuning cap. It uses the open ones, like the old radios, the table radios used. But these are the battery connectors that you'd have to put onto the other radio that I just showed you and make a conversion to the square one. Let me fire this up again. You won't hear anything, but let me just do it anyways. There's a little hissing. Very, very, very faint. Matter of fact, the dehumidifier is probably going to drown it out. Volume's all the way up. No noise when I touch any of the connections. Yeah, that's about it right there. Hear it? The tuning turns hard. Not real hard, but a lot harder than I'm used to on transistor radios. So, but again, I can't work on these. So, I'm undecided whether I want to part with these or not. But one thing I am not going to part with is the triplet 630. That is my meter. I will not get rid of it. I've been looking for that for years. These two transistor radios, on the other hand, I got them. I knew I could not fix them. I know my limitations. If I try, I'll fail, and I'll only get aggravated with myself. Because years ago, 40, 50 years ago, I was never very successful on repairing transistor radios. If it was a break in the circuit board, I had excellent eyesight, I can spot it. A bad switch, I can spot it. Bad earphone jack, I can spot it and usually fix that. But when it comes to replacing transistors and something like this, or electrolytics, I was never able to do it in my best day. Too small. And even 40 or 50 years ago, I had a short fuse. There's been times, I haven't done this in a long, long time, but back when I had my attic workshop, back in the 70s, I couldn't fix something. I'd throw it across the attic and bust it up. Take out the speakers and whatever else, take the knobs off and throw it out in the attic. The rest of the open space out there in the attic, I said, the hell with it. Can't be fixed. So, and I wasn't even an old fart back then. No, it takes a lot of patience. You gotta have lots of patience. You gotta have the skills and the knowledge to trace these things out. I just don't have it. Alright, so I'm making this video to let you know that, yes, I might part with these. I don't know yet. It's undecided. I know that Doug, he was drooling. I knew that he was drooling because both of these radios were wet. They had drool all over them, and I knew where it was coming from. So, yep. So, Doug's kind of like interested in this particular radio, if I'm going to part with it. So I don't know yet. I can't give you an answer. And hopefully I don't forget if I do decide in the future to get rid of it. And somebody else chimes in and wants it, and I send it to them. So it's going to be one of these things where I'm going to have to remember. And I'm not good at remembering things. All right. Hear the static? That's the volume control, and I cleaned that with the oxide too. Now, years ago, I remember there's an electrolytic that comes off of the volume control. I don't know about on this radio, the tiny, tiny schematic. I can't read that. Sometimes they are bad, and they make the volume control scratchy. That's going from memory from years ago. So, nothing on the tuning, though. And that the tuning numbers are so small here that I cannot even see them at all. And you're probably having a hard time seeing too, because the ZE1 just don't do good close-ups. And the Play Touch took 3.5 hours to render that last video in Sony. It came out to be 4.5 gigabytes on that last video because I forgot and left the Play Touch on 720p. I should have set it down to WVGA. So it took a long time to render. A long time. So, okay. So we're going to end this video now. Thanks for watching.